Hello, and a very good morning to all my dear students. Hope you all will be safe at your respective places and will be enjoying your holidays. Today, I am taking a prose chapter from your supplementary textbook Vistas. The name of the chapter is Enemy. But before I come to actual story, let me tell you the outline of this story. This story is a heart-rending portrayal of the conflict between a man's heart and mind and tells about how people can help enemies on human grounds. To hate our enemy is natural and justifiable, especially during wartime. This story beautifully depicts how a human being rises above the prejudices to help a wounded enemy. So let us start watching the video now. As I told you earlier, that this is a fourth chapter of your supplementary textbook, Vistas. The story name is Enemy, and this is written by Pearl S. Buck. This is a picture of Pearl S. Buck. Let us know about him. Buck was born on June 26, 1892, in Hillsborough, West Virginia, and died on March 6, 1973. She was an American writer and novelist. As a daughter of missionaries, Buck spent most of her life before 1934 in Zhejiang, China. In 1930, she published her first novel. The Good Earth earned her a Pulitzer Prize in 1932. In 1938, Buck, the first American female, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. East Wind, West Wind was her first novel. Some of most notable works are The Good Earth, Dragon Seed, The Eternal Wonder, A House Divided, and The Mother. So many other works are also there, but these are the most praiseworthy works of Pearl S. Buck. Let us start now with the story of Enemy. The main character of this story is Dr. Sadao, and the whole story revolves around him. Dr. Sadao Hoki's house was a solitary house on the Japanese coast, where as a little boy he had often played. This house was set upon rocks above a narrow beach surrounded by pine trees. A mile or two on either side of the house was a fishing village, but near his house there existed only the bare and lonely coast, dangerous with rocks. The water beyond the beach always spiked with rocks. The father of Dr. Sadao, he was a very true patriot. He was a traditional person and he had taken him often to the islands of these seas. He often visited the South Sea islands with him. He always used to say to his son, "These islands are the stepping stones to the future for Japan." This was the belief of the father, and he had high expectations from his son. Sadao's education was his father's chief concern. So he was sent to America to learn surgery and medicines. He inculcated in him values of patriotism and, and national loyalty. When Sadao was quite young, and he always cherished these values. In America, Sadao met Hana, who was always a Japanese in America. They came back to Japan and married in old Japanese ways. The reason Sadao had to wait to get married to Hana until he was sure that she was a Japanese. Otherwise, the father would never have approved of this marriage. So, after Sadao and Hana had finished their studies, they came back home to Japan, and the marriage was in traditional Japanese way, according to his father's wishes. And now they were a very happy couple. Sadao had two children, while most of the doctors were sent to serve the Japanese army in World War II. Dr. Sadao was allowed to stay at home because he was wanted by the old general who was dying. Actually, what was the reason? The general was to be operated anytime, and he was not having any faith in any other doctor except Dr. Sadao. So he was not interested to go far away from him. He always wanted his doctor to be along with him, near him. One evening, an American soldier was washed ashore in front of their house. Dr. Sadao and Hannah ran for help. The soldier staggered a few steps and fell down unconscious. Both of them they started assuming that who could this person be? Dr. Sadao was of the opinion that he was a prisoner of war. That is why he is wounded. So Mrs. Hannah, she was thinking that is he a white person? Is he from US Navy? And he is bleeding too. So the thought of throwing him back into the sea, both of them, they were thinking about this, but they couldn't do so. Sadao carried him home. Actually, what was the thing? Doctor was torn between his moral duty as a doctor, which urged him to save the dying man, and his national duty, which required handing him over to army as a patriot. So he was taken to their home with the consent of both Dr. Sadao and Mrs. Hona. When the servants in the house came to know about the coming of an American soldier, they were becoming restless as they had strong repulsion for the Americans. So they left Sadao's house and Hannah paid them their wages. Hannah although knew that this is too difficult to manage the house without the servants, but she didn't come forward to plead them. She decided that she will be along with her husband and she will try to manage without the need of the servants. So there was nobody else in the house to take care of this soldier or to help the doctor if he wants to operate him. So Hannah was the only member to help the doctor. Hannah washed the soldier and Sadao operated on the American and removed a bullet from the wound. The outcome of Sadao and Hannah's laborious efforts was the bullet was found, removed, and soldier's life was saved. Hannah and Sadao nursed the American. His wounds healed and he gained strength. On the other hand, now this was a time when the general was in pain. So he called the doctor for his treatment. Sadao told him about the American and the general suggested to help him because he was having his self-interest there. He never wanted the doctor must be arrested. He always wanted the doctor to be in front of him, all around him. So he promised the doctor, he said, I have my own private assassins. I will send them to your house any night to kill that American. So doctor also gave his consent there. He said, yes, yes, sir, this could be the best possible option. So this was the time when doctor had to wait for the assassins to come. He kept the doors opened at night, but no assassin came. He even didn't share this thing along with his missus so that she might be afraid. He alone was waiting for them to come, for some sound to come, but nothing was there. This way, he waited for 3 nights for the assassins, but no assassins arrived. Sadao was tired of waiting, so he decided to help the American to escape. Now Sadao proved him with his boat, provided him with his boat, and put water and quilts in it. Sadao also gave him his flashlight. The reason was it was really very difficult for Dr. Sadao to kill this person or to hand over to the police to get arrested. That person whom he had saved by himself. So when the general also was not there to help him, so he had to take out the option, take out the solution by himself. So he thought of this provision that he must be arranged for everything so that he may be able to fly or to run from this place. So Dr. Sadao arranged all these things in a boat and he wanted that he must not be seen by anyone. He told the enemy to sail to an uninhabited island very close to the shore. There, he could live till he found a Korean fishing boat which may be passing by the island. After making all the arrangements, Doctor shook his hands with him and bid him goodbye. Now this story was over. Again, Dr. Sadao was called by the general to operate on him. Sadao told him about the Americans' escape because during the time when the general was in pain, doctor was thinking that this is not the right time to tell the general about the American. Also, he couldn't tell the truth that he had made all the arrangements for the running of the enemy from this place. So he had to tell lie that the American had escaped from his house. So now the general was realizing that he had failed to perform his duty. He had promised something with the doctor, but he was not able to fulfill the promise. He said, I failed to send the assassins as I was absorbed in my own affairs. Doctor also couldn't blame him because he was the officer. So he simply said, I swear, sir, I can swear on your loyalty. So the story was over. Everything was clear now. The servants also came to know that the American was not in the house. All the servants, they returned as the American had left and things came back to normal. So thou remembered, no, after this, so thou was remembering sitting all alone that how he hated the Americans. You may have noticed that throughout the story, whenever he is mentioning this prisoner, he is calling him enemy. But he couldn't ignore his duty also. So this was a part of his duty that he was also attending him sincerely. He hated him very much, but he didn't know that why he saved his life and why he was not able to kill him. Everyone else disliked him, but he and his wife, they were there to supervise him, to take care of him, to take care of his wounds. But why he was not having the answer of this question to himself. Now, Sadao was remembering. how Americans had treated him with prejudice, and he hated the Americans. So everything he was remembering, that when he was in America, he had very bitter experiences. He was not treated properly by these Americans. He really hated all the Americans. But why? What was the reason? He was wondering on himself that why he couldn't kill the priest. With this, the story ends. But now I want to tell you the message which this story conveys. Through this story, we find the humanitarian values in Dr. Sadao's act, and these values are the universal values. He proved emotions, prejudices, and hatred are man made, but love, sympathy, humanitarian consideration, compassion for human beings are always instinctive. One needs to do one's duty towards fellow human beings before anything else. Here, through this episode, Dr. Sadao has proved that humanity is far above the feelings of nationalism. So, this is all about our today's lecture. Now, thank you so much for watching this video.